In the heart of the Western Indian Ocean lies a UNESCO World Heritage Site like none other, the Aldabra Atoll. One of the largest coralline atolls and home to the largest population of giant tortoises in the world. Its remoteness and inaccessibility to humans has preserved it in a near pristine state. Very few are privileged enough to ever set foot onto the Aldabra Atoll. Since 1979, the Seychelles Islands Foundation has been the steward of this biodiversity hotspot, steering its preservation and management on behalf of the Seychellois people and the world. For the last 20 years, the Seychelles Islands Foundation has been affording deserving young Seychellois school children, along with their teachers, the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to visit Aldabra, ensuring future generations continue the tradition of conserving this exceptional place. The trip comes as the star prize for the annual Eco-school program, an initiative integrated within the curriculum activities of the Ministry of Education that sees all public schools challenged to compete in conservation and sustainability initiatives in their communities. Join us in celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Seychelles Islands Foundation sponsorship of this life-changing trip. As we look back on where it all began, we will hear from past participants and find out how this extraordinary place has influenced them to be the person they are today and the role the Eco-school Aldabra trip plays in this.
Eco-school's program started 25 years ago, 1994. They tried to see how they can green the school program, the curriculum, change it a little bit, integrate environment, try to get students to do science or other subjects who need a classroom, take them outside, try to have gardens at the school. In the past, when it first started, it was a lot to do with conservation education. And now it's to do a lot with sustainable development also. It's a whole school approach, like we said. I remember very well when it was first announced by President Ford, who at that time was the Minister for Education.
Over 20 years, you can see there has been quite a substantial number of young people that have gone to Aldabra, and today they are everywhere. But they are very strong ambassadors of what Aldabra means, not only to Seychelles, but to humanity. They are the frontliners, okay? And they carry this very strong spirit of what Aldabra should remain for future generations.
Particular about Aldabra is that it's very difficult to get there. So we will never have the luxury that all and every Seychellois is going to get the chance there. And that's how the idea was born, that actually children, you know, people are not jealous of children because children are so special to us as well that we would luckily afford them to go in our place. So I think this is one of the reasons why we decided that children who are sensitized, who are striving towards making a difference in the environment should also be the ones who see the environment at its best, to be encouraged to do more.
But I think the Aldabra trip is the best reward that we can reward those students who have been very active. It's a dream of every Seychellois to go to Aldabra.
Unquestionable. The Aldabra trip is the best motivation anyone can have to take part in the Eco-school competition. And as an Eco-school competition, we are striving to live in harmony with nature. So therefore, you really need to see how much different nature can be when it isn't impacted by humans, as you can see on Aldabra. So that's more or less the history why it was decided, or thought rather, that a trip to Aldabra would be an award which is really a star prize by the name. It's a trip of a lifetime.
With 35 schools participating across 4 islands, the first Aldabra trip took place in the year 2000, awarding the winners of the 1999 competition. Since then, a total of 15 trips over the 20 years have taken place, with 6 years being skipped during the rise of piracy in the Indian Ocean, following the landing of a pirate boat on the atoll in 2009, and more recently, the COVID-19 pandemic. Over the 20-year period, 194 school children and 41 teachers have visited the Aldabra Atoll, thanks to Seychelles Islands Foundation's sponsorship to the Eco-school program.
Seeing Aldabra for the first time, it's just breathtaking. You see pictures and you think you know how amazing a place is until you actually see it with your eyes.
Everything about it is unique and special, from the animals, the plants, everything is unique. For me, arriving there and seeing the sharks, the giant tortoises, even the coconut crabs, it was something that I had never seen. And I was so mesmerized by the island that I couldn't even explain.
Le nou ti arrive à Aldabra, zanmè mwen pou oubliye, mwen kwa mwen ti pleure, mwen tin tout an ve Aldabra. Mwen pa pou zanmè oubliye mwen ye tete le nou ti arrive là-bas, koule salanmè. Apre le nou ti debake kom si le ou metou li pied dan di sab. Sa l'émotion, mwen pa zanmè kapab eksperyans sa ankor de mwen la vi, mwen pou zanmè oubliye.
Environmentally, it's like a natural laboratory. We had the chance to go snorkeling. We had a chance to go also in the mangrove stream there in a boat. What you discovered, you will never find it anywhere else in Seychelles.
Mon l'étole Aldabra, moi ti joine nou chal visiter jellyfish pond. Quand tu as un jellyfish là, que tu devis la tête en bas, tu m'as pas expecté, moi tu vois quelque chose comme ça tu vraiment frappe bon, des sens, quand moi tu vois moi vraiment si mon peut esquiver, à quelque chose qui m'a peut voir à cause il est vraiment amazing, c'est quelque chose qui m'a pas décrire moi-même, moi tu vraiment content.
I enjoyed watching hatchlings, little hatchlings. We were one of the lucky groups that were able to actually watch them hatch, and it was really emotional for me because I had never seen it before.
I loved the sea turtle tagging and monitoring. We also did a lot of trying to identify the different biodiversity, the plants, the birds. I really enjoyed that.
My favorite activity was going through the mangroves, through the channels inside the atoll, and also swimming with the sharks and also the camping.
And it's a life-changing experience. Me and Brian would agree on that because here we are working on Aldabra after all this time. And we was only 10 years old when we come, so you live to tell many people about it.
We were also keen to visit Aldabra, and we all wanted to see Aldabra, what makes Aldabra so different. So I guess the highlight of my trip would be being surrounded by people who have the same interest and the same passion for the environment.
Anyone that visits the Aldabra Atoll returns home marked by this extraordinary place. Many of the past school children have gone on to take up roles in environmental conservation, and some have even become SIF employees. Even those who have not moved into careers in environment, whether teachers or past students, they continue to act as ambassadors for the preservation of this remarkable place.
I'm actually very, very pleased that we've started to revisit the Eco-school trip and to actually look at the list and who went and where are they now, because it's really striking how much kids who have been on the trip have already sort of taken up environmental conservation, environment protection into their daily life activities. So I know of a good number of people who have been and are now, in fact, are now working in the field of environment, but also others who are not working in the field of environment, but they always come back, and for them nature is something which is deeply rooted in them. So that's very reassuring that this is an excellent investment.
I'd say the trip came at a very important time in my life because I had just finished my O-levels. I was actually confirming and choosing my A-levels, which would then be the requirement for a university degree. And I know I've always wanted to read marine biology and work in marine conservation, But at that time, that kind of cemented that in my mind as definitely, yes, this is what I want to do in my life. And the trip was very important for that decision at that time.
I've been involved in a lot of environment activities. I was part of the group who lobbied for the partial plastic ban in Seychelles in 2016. And currently I volunteer with the Ocean Project Seychelles. I do beach cleanups every other month. And I also volunteer for SIF Seychelles, another NGO in Seychelles promoting sustainable development in Seychelles. And I would like to study environmental economics.
I'm currently working as a field research officer at SIF on Aldabra.
I'm currently working on Aldabra as a shopkeeper/logistic assistant.
On travaille avec plusieurs organisations de l'environnement social, par exemple SIF. Sa trip lui-même, moi capable de dire raison à cause mon vin de conservation de l'environnement comme là, à cause avant des petits moi suis tout le temps intéressé, fasciné avec la nature, mais mon parti vraiment connaît qui moi capable prendre un carrière dans l'environnement. Mon crois l'expérience avec tout qui m'en apprend à Aldabra, il fait mon vivre la vie un peu plus soutenable pour moins l'impact sur l'environnement. Every student who's been to Aldabra, when they come back, and up to now, they will talk positively about Aldabra. So everywhere they go, I think they bring that part of Aldabra with them. They will talk about it.
Et même mon rappel mon étudiant moi comme ça, moi un peu trop fatigué par là. A comment on est non avec ça parce que moi parce que des temps moi mon avec ça et mon passe bon les formations que bonnes amis de l'école et comme bonne poste.
Being a teacher, if sa trip Aldabra line fait moi capable bring in sa environmental protection, conservation, demolition. So ça aide moi capable comme si pli éduque les enfants là, pli informe de la conservation, l'importance de conservation et qui m'a les autres commencent à bonne future génération qui peut grandir pour capable aussi à l'avenir aider pour préserver.
The remoteness and isolation of the atoll makes the Eco-school Aldabra trip a costly undertaking. It is reassuring then to look at some of the positive outcomes of the program. For example, of those participants recently surveyed, 70% returned home with a greater understanding of nature conservation and environmental management, and 76% agree that the Eco-school Aldabra trip had a significant positive impact on their lives. As we look back on the last 20 years and look ahead to the future, perhaps the most important outcome of the Eco-school's Aldabra trip is the mark left on those children who will become the future generations to care for and conserve the atoll.
As an organization, we are fully committed to environmental education and to outreach because it is not us as an organization who are going to achieve the successful continued protection of the 2 World Heritage Sites. It is only by engaging with the population that we can be successful, and what better place to start with the children, and from there to continue with the other members of the community.
So I hope Aldabra remains as pristine as it is, and I hope that SIF keeps on putting in the effort they're putting in now to protect and to keep Aldabra as pristine as it is for future generations to come.
My hope is that we continue to preserve Aldabra for the biodiversity value that it is and work towards improving safeguarding Aldabra. I really believe that it is a high biodiversity area, it is high endemism, but it's also highly sensitive, and we need to understand what the threats are to Aldabra and work together to protect it.
Aldabra, mon quoi, il est protégé, pas juste le côté Seychelles en entier, mais le pays en entier dehors. Quand Vicky, le temps où là, tu as beaucoup de pollution qui sortent de les autres pays qui viennent à Aldabra. So mon quoi, surtout si besoin jouer un rôle là-dedans pour protéger Aldabra.
World Heritage Sites are of symbolic nature and are connecting past generations and future generations. And if our generation is not in a position to protect these sites, if we are not able to protect places like Aldabra, it means we have signed out and we've given up. It's therefore extremely important for us to engage young people who have all the passion and will continue the work we have started.
I foresee a lot of pressure on our oceans, and the role of future leaders and citizens of Seychelles will be how to continue to mitigate those pressures, but with one thing in mind, that the gift given to humanity was not given for 10 years, for 20 years. It is a gift given to humanity as long as humanity lives. This gift is in their hands, and it is a collective responsibility on the part of states and of Seychelles to preserve a beautiful wonder, the jewel of Seychelles, Aldabra, for humanity and for mankind.
SIF would like to thank all students and teachers who have had the chance to visit the Aldabra Atoll, and even those who have not had the chance yet, for their enthusiasm, participation and support of the Eco-school program. We would also like to say a huge thank you to the SIF staff, along with the Ministries of Education and Environment, for making their dreams come true.